What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Down to Earth with Christian Harloff. This is our Monday through Friday UAP news channel. We try to find out the big stories that are going on in the UAP phenomenon, and we bring it to you here. So if you're brand new to this channel, you've never been here before, you want to get those updates, subscribe to the channel. We're trying to get to 25,000. I think we can get there. Why? Because we don't think mainstream media is covering this, and we want to get the word out. So the more voices, the more you share it, the more you get it out there, and maybe eventually one day the mainstream media will start to cover this so we can get the word out and we can do what we can do. We're on Apple Podcasts, we're on Spotify, so you can check us out there also. Man, this Sean Kirkpatrick thing blew up yesterday. It really did. Sean Kirkpatrick, the former head of AARO, he was on Stephen Greenstreet's show recently, an interview that Greenstreet had with him. And to Greenstreet's credit, look, this guy's a skeptic. Sometimes he's there to, it seems like he's there to kind of antagonize a little bit. But he did really good reporting here in this particular case where he was asking Sean Kirkpatrick, because they had this AARO report that I think took the wind out of the sails on the movement for UAP disclosure, and there were certain things that were saying inside this report of AARO a few months back, and it was like, okay, we didn't find anything. There's no evidence of this stuff. So Greenstreet was pretty much on the same page with him for the majority of the interview, but he asked him at one point about the names that were associated, about a particular meeting that happened, and Kirkpatrick had said, no, that never happened. But there's more. There's a lot to it. I want to show a snippet of the actual interview from Greenstreet's interview. I want to see some of the comments that are going on, and then the ultimate follow-up, which it seems like that Sean Kirkpatrick was caught in a bold-faced lie. That's what it seems like. So let's break this down. Here's the first part of it. So again, I always talk about both Mike Colangelo and the UFO Joe, two people I follow a lot. Mike posts this about the Sean Kirkpatrick curveball. This is from the other day. And he said, Sean Kirkpatrick versus Fugel. Who's telling the truth? Sean Kirkpatrick responds to the allegations by Brandon Fugel that Kirkpatrick attended a 2018 briefing in Washington, D.C. about Skinwalker Ranch. So according to Brandon Fugel, Kirkpatrick was leading the briefing, and Kirkpatrick said during the briefing that he was already fully aware of the reality of the UAP phenomenon. Sean Kirkpatrick says he didn't say that, and that he denies that he was leading the briefing. It's still not clear if Kirkpatrick was actually at the meeting, and Kirkpatrick says he doesn't remember meeting Brandon Fugel. So here's the actual video from the Greenstreet interview.
The second moment comes when I asked Kirkpatrick if he had a previous history working with UFOs, or if he had any previous associations with members of this core group of true believers. Before AARO, did you have any interest at all in UFOs?
Not beyond the occasional movie.
Okay. Before AARO, did you perform any duties regarding UFOs or paranormal phenomena?
No.
Did you attend a 2018 Senate Armed Services Committee briefing on Skinwalker Ranch? I asked him this question because in a previous report of mine, I revealed that in 2018, Brandon Fugel, the owner of Skinwalker Ranch, went to Washington, D.C. and gave a briefing to multiple Pentagon officials about the spooky stuff at the ranch. At the briefing were some of the members of this group. Fugel told me Kirkpatrick was not only there, but was leading the briefing about Skinwalker Ranch. Did you attend a 2018 Senate Armed Services Committee briefing on Skinwalker Ranch?
No, I attended a briefing at the request of the Senate Armed Services Committee on what was at that time associated with the ATIP, OSAP research that was going as an independent outside reviewer, and I gave them my opinions at that time.
Who invited you to that briefing?
It was one of the staffers.
Okay, one of the staffers on SASC. Got it. And you're saying that this was like an offset of OSAP ATIP?
That's my understanding at the time. Was it was a spin out of those programs
in 2018. Wow. Okay.
So those programs were ended the research by these independent people, because this was not an official government briefing. This was a briefing by people that were not associated with the government. So,
Okay, so this briefing was not an official DoD Pentagon briefing.
oh, absolutely not.
Okay. Brandon Fugel, the owner of Skinwalker Ranch, says you, quote, led that briefing in 2018 and claims you said you were, quote, already fully aware of the reality of UFO phenomena. Is that accurate?
I wasn't leading anything. I had another job at the time, and I was brought in as an independent, objective reviewer of what the SASC was being told.
Okay. Because this offered a little bit of a curveball in my reporting, because I did a whole deep dive on Skinwalker Ranch. Brandon Fugel told me about the briefing, said, you were there. And he said that, Kirkpatrick said that UFOs are real in this briefing. And when I reported that, I think the UFO community at the time was like, oh, Kirkpatrick's a UFO guy because Fugel said so. And then when your report came out, they're like, wait, what the hell?
Yeah, no, Kirkpatrick did not say aliens were real.
Or UFOs were real, that the reality, quote, the reality of UFO phenomena is real.
No, I never said that.
Before AARO, did you have any association with any of these folks, any of the people in this core group of believers?
No.
So, like, when you went to that briefing in 2018 where you said ALSAP ATIP folks were there, you didn't know any of those people?
Not at the time.
Okay.
Not that I remember. I think I met all the people associated with this all at that time was probably around the first that I'd ever met them.
Okay, so he admits that he was at this unofficial 2018 Skinwalker Ranch briefing, but only on invitation and only as an independent, objective reviewer. Okay, but seriously, what was he even doing there? How can he say that he had no interest or duties regarding UFOs before 2022 if he's attending briefings in 2018 about one of the most famous UFO spots on planet Earth? I could have pushed him more on this, but time was ticking and I wanted to cover more topics. I emailed Kirkpatrick some follow-up questions, and he said this: I ended up at that briefing because a congressional staffer asked me to attend as an objective third-party scientist to listen to the presentation. I did not know it was about Skinwalker Ranch until later. I don't recall it being referenced by that name during the briefing. He doesn't recall Skinwalker Ranch even being referenced? I replied by sending Kirkpatrick this PowerPoint presentation that Brandon Fugel claims he presented at the briefing. Skinwalker Ranch is all over it, and it's all about Skinwalker Ranch. Kirkpatrick replied, that's not the briefing I recall seeing. The briefing I saw was less polished. Come to think about it, I don't believe it was 2018 that I attended a briefing on the Hill. I believe it would have been 2017. In 2018, I was stationed in Colorado. I don't recall ever meeting Fugel. Maybe he's confusing the two meetings. So I reached out to Brandon Fugel about Kirkpatrick's comments. Fugel responded, are you trying to get Kirkpatrick in trouble and destroy his credibility? You better be careful with what you report. To which I replied, no, I interviewed him and brought up the 2018 Senate Armed Services Committee briefing you had told me about. I included his response below and would like to give you an opportunity to respond or clarify. Fugel responded, he, meaning Kirkpatrick, was at that meeting on April 19th, 2018. I gave you an accurate account of the meeting and have video, photos, and witnesses. I then asked Fugel if he could provide any of those videos, photos, or witnesses. Fugel did not respond at the time of this video's publishing. This is all very confusing, and at this point, I simply don't know who to believe.
Okay, again, credit where credit is due. Really good reporting there by Green Street, and I'm putting a link to his full interview in the description. So if you want to check out the full interview with Kirkpatrick, you can find it in the description of this video. So there was a lot there, man. There was a lot. And as he asked him about these meetings, and then Kirkpatrick kind of changed up his story a bit and said, well, yeah, I was there, but I was asked to be there through a third party, and that's not what was presented, and that didn't happen. And, oh, come to think about it, I wasn't even there. I wasn't there in 2018. I was in Colorado, so it definitely wasn't me, and I never even met that guy, so he's probably confused about it, to where Fugel's like, what do you mean? He definitely was there, and that response of, are you trying to destroy his credibility? Because I'm not going to be, lied about here. I was there. I could prove that I was there, and he did. So this is what really set the internet on fire yesterday after this report from Green Street, where Green Street was going with it. The conference, again, I want to say this real quick before I get into the second part of this. I've talked about it when it comes to ultimate believers and ultimate skeptics. I think that everybody should be open-minded to all of it. You should ask questions. If you believe stuff, you should ask questions, and don't get offended if someone doesn't believe it, and have a conversation about it. If you don't believe it, you can not believe it, ask your questions to maybe prove your point, and try to talk to people who do respectfully, and not name call people and poke fun at people and try to antagonize people. I think what Green Street did here was really good reporting. And I think he had a conversation here where he said, okay, look, as a journalist, I'm going to do this follow-up question. And he's not just, it could have just been a piece of why that, this is what I thought it was going to be honest with you. I thought it was just going to be a piece of why that AARO report was so wonderful and everybody should stop talking about this. It's not what he did. Now, the whole interview is not just gotcha moments at Kirkpatrick. He does absolutely play on that side of it, but he's asking the questions. So I highly recommend you guys listening to the full interview. But I wanted to, again, give credit where credit is due. I don't necessarily agree with a lot of the times of certain ways he interacts with people, in the same way that I don't agree with people going after, when they talk about it inside this report, people going after Kirkpatrick's family and threatening. I mean, that's off limits, unnecessary. That's the ultimate goal here is trying to find out what the hell's going on collectively as a human species, right? That's the goal, you hope. And, that should be the thing, not you're wrong, we're right, on whatever side that is. And so it was nice to see this, to where it's just, no, you know what? I'm a reporter, I'm going to ask questions. You guys figure this out. He even says at the end, I don't know who to believe. Well, the follow-up came with this. Fugel says, I am telling the truth. On April 19th, 2018, my team from Skinwalker Ranch was asked to provide a confidential briefing in Washington, D.C. to the U.S. Senate Select Committee on Intelligence and United States Armed Services Committee. Sean Kirkpatrick was at the head of the table. He provides photos. First thing he provides is the actual photo of the briefing. Confidential briefing at Skinwalker Ranch, U.S. Senate Select Committee on Intelligence, Armed Services. So this is what they presented. The second one is a picture of them outside, waiting to go in, I guess, or maybe afterwards, but I guess that is a picture of them there. This is the one that set the internet on fire here, was this one. So here's the presentation itself to this committee. And lo and behold, right over there, clocking the camera, Sean Kirkpatrick. So that's 2018. That's the briefing. He's there. I don't know how you forget about being at that meeting, especially when it's this. And I think that's Lukatsky there. I think. I don't know. I don't know if that's been confirmed or not. But Sean Kirkpatrick looking like, what's going on? Why is that person taking a picture? Fugel responded because people were asking, how'd you take that picture? How is that? And it's we weren't supposed to. I had someone take a picture of it in case something like this happened. And that's exactly what happened. He had it for proof. And he dropped it. I don't believe there's been a response from Kirkpatrick yet. But that's Kirkpatrick. And you can follow that whole thread. So there's a lot of different questions here, right? And there was something else that was someone pointed this out to me in that interview, and I listened back to it. I must have missed it the first time. I don't know how I did. But with the Green Street interview, where Patrick even said that people who talk about the UAP phenomenon, who are talking about it in general, are a threat to national security. And it was the way that it was said. It wasn't those words particularly. I'm kind of paraphrasing it, but if you go back and listen to that, concerning concerning that, and then, the other report that we had yesterday about David Grush and that the potential that they were looking at criminal charges on him, and because they wanted him to not talk about it, and tons of comments in yesterday's video of like, if it's not true, why do they want to prosecute him? So, that hasn't been confirmed that they're going to do that. It was Lou Elizondo said that they were at one point, they were considering it. Whether they're still considering it, criminal investigation, who knows? But you start to think about this, man. Sean Kirkpatrick, what's he going to say here? Oh, well, that was a different meeting. And I do remember that guy. But like I said, it was 2018. I got my dates wrong. I actually wasn't in Colorado. I was on another day. I was at another time. But I did have that particular meeting. But that wasn't that, blah, blah. What's he going to say there? Because just in the pretend scenario, I'm like, well, what do you say there to make that sound realistic at all? I mean, look, Green Street's the one who's going, well, wait a minute. You said this. And then he followed back up again. If Green Street's the one who's going after you, that doesn't fare well for you because he's on your side. And so he's the one going, well, wait a minute. You gotta follow up with who's telling the truth here. So, and I haven't looked at Green Street's tweets, and I don't know what he has said about the Fugel stuff since. I don't know. With those pictures, I haven't heard that yet. But if it turns out that this is an actual bold-faced lie, which it appears to be, but maybe there's an excuse for it, benefit of the doubt. But if it is a lie, the question next has to be, what else is he lying about? How factual is that actual AARO report that came out? That press conference and that media tour that he did, rather. How much of that was BS? Because when Green Street asked him that initial question, everything else he's firing, no. When he asked him that question, you look at his head, he went, and he turned a little bit. Body language, man. So this doesn't look good for him. It doesn't. He still has no excuse for anybody harassing him at his house, harassing his family, no excuse. Let this stuff speak for itself. Let it speak for itself. Because you hope the truth will come out. The truth will set you free. All that stuff. The truth here is, why'd you lie about this? That's the question. Why did you lie about it? Not further, that's a further investigation down the line. Well, what are you guys talking about? This, no. Wait a minute. He asked you if you were there. You said maybe as a third party thing, and I wasn't even really interested in, I wasn't doing the UFO stuff until 2022 or whatever it was. So you caught in a little bit there. But then when he straight out asked you if you were there in the follow up, and you say, no, actually, no, I was in Colorado. I don't know who that person is. He got it mixed up. Not realizing that he had a picture. That's what it comes down to. He didn't realize he had the picture. So right now, whoever that handler was with him at that media tour has to be saying, "What are you doing, guy? Why is he still doing interviews at this point? He should be doing no more interviews. After that AARO report, no more interviews. That's it. You had it. You had it, and people were starting to question it. No more interviews. Fugel wouldn't even had put this out because he'd been challenged in this interview. He'd been challenged, and Kirkpatrick was calling him a liar. Because after Fugel had the conversation with Green Street, he gave him all those details. Green Street had it, presented it, and Kirkpatrick essentially called Fugel a liar, saying, no, he misrepresented it. He's like, no, I didn't. Here, look at this. So who knows? I'm also going to be very honest in telling you that I have been by a few different people who have told me time and time again to look at the Skinwalker Ranch show, check out that stuff. I have, and you've seen, I've never really even covered Skinwalker Ranch on this show. I've never really even talked about it at all because I've always felt, and I know that Harry Reid had some, obviously with all the stuff that the investigation into it, how much more serious apparently than it is. I am, after this and after the lie, I'm more inclined to check it out, because I was never, if you've been following me for a little bit, it wasn't the ancient alien stuff and all that stuff that got me into this thing. It was the military people that were talking about it. It was the people in the government that were talking about it that say, no, this is real. There's something going on. That's what interested me. And if they're presenting this stuff in 2018, and it's got to be pretty damn real or something, or they thought something's going on. So I'm interested in it. Now, this gets me to go, okay, let me see what's going on over there. And I want to dive into it a little more because I believe this guy. I believe he was there, clearly. I believe he presented something. So I don't know. I am so interested in the comments here today. I am so interested. If you notice, I'm pretty active in the comments. I like to have the discussions here. I don't really someone yesterday, and I appreciated this, wrote in the comments section, hey, I'm glad that you let me over here. I am a skeptic in this stuff, but I'm banned from a lot of the channels because I don't believe in it. And I said, I'm open to skeptics. I appreciate that point of view. I just want, as I said in the beginning here, respectful conversation back and forth. If you guys think that Fugel is lying and that's something else and Kirkpatrick has a legitimate excuse, please present that. Present it in a way that we would have it if you and I were having a steak dinner. I'm a vegan. I don't know, whatever. You have a salad. We're sitting together. We're having a conversation, and you're on one side of this, and you're like, well, I think that he probably said this. And let's go back and forth. And not just to me, to your fellow commenters as well. Put your comments in there. Put the likes in there. Let's have a conversation about this, because this is a big one. This is a big one. That it does open up the fact that if it turns out that he was indeed lying, and if he has responded, please tell me in the comments, because I haven't seen that yet, and I'm sure I'll find that out soon. I'm sure Pavel is watching and will say, no, he has responded. Check this out. Or maybe he hasn't. He should. In the same way that Grush needed to respond to the claims that, no, they wanted a meeting, and Grush said no. He's like, well, wait. Your timeline's messed up. Clearly, this guy gets his timeline messed up a lot. So was Grush telling the truth overall? Seems like he might have been. So it starts to turn the tide a bit. If Sean Kirkpatrick, the former head of AARO, is caught in this big of a lie, because this is a big one, what else is he lying about? It's massive. This is a massive one. And guess what? None of the news outlets are covering it. I mean, I don't know if News Nation is in the Hill. They might cover it today. I'm sure Ross Coulthart's talking about it. But none of the major news organizations are talking about it. And that's our job here, to keep doing it. Keep talking about it. Keep commenting about it. Share this video. Retweet it when we're out there. And not just mine. Anybody else who's talking about it, keep commenting on it. That's what'll help. Because the YouTube algorithm, it's powerful. It'll get people talking about it. These videos will pop up. It'll bring new people in there. So maybe we can get the word out there. So keep asking questions, man. Keep doing it. Whether you believe, you don't believe, have a conversation. I do want to hear from the skeptics in this one, in the way that, like, what do you think this is? Why would he lie about something like this? Even if he got his timelines mixed up, then wouldn't you say it's possible that he got his timelines mixed up? If you were on a jury and someone said, well, you got your timelines mixed up on that, couldn't your timelines have been off about the David Grush thing? So curious. If you've ever checked out one of my videos, this is the one to comment on. If you've never commented on a video before, please do so. I am so fascinated to see what you guys think. All right. Thanks for joining me here today. Have a great weekend, everybody, and I'll see you on Monday.